On this week's episode, we sit down with Verity Vale. Verity is originally from Plymouth in the United Kingdom, but has spent the last year living in Halifax. After university, Verity spent time in Glasgow, Scotland, where she decided she would become a police officer. After 15 years on the force, and the last 7 as a detective, Verity decided to go on sabbatical to explore starting her own business. She is now the only solution-focused hypnotherapist in Nova Scotia and owner of Verity Vale Hypnotherapy. Listen in to hear all about what Verity does and the big plans she has for the future.
I was the same old me with the same old blues. I was the same old me with the same old blues. I was the same old me with the same old blues.
All right, we're back for another episode of Brand New View. We're here once again with my co-host, Ben Brammer. How's it going, Ben?
Very well, thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, I'm happy to have you in the new studio.
I am so excited.
Yeah, we have new mics and we just moved into a new place next to the Daily Grind. Shout out Dave and Scott.
Birmingham, right? Birmingham.
Birmingham, yeah. Come check us out. All summer we'll be here. So we are joined tonight by Verity Vale. How you doing, Verity?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
We're great.
Good.
Where are you joining us from exactly?
From England.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the south coast.
Well, you are here today, but
Today.
you're by way of Plymouth, United Kingdom.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Very cool. Plymouth Argyle.
that's right. Well done.
I played FIFA.
Good job. That was really impressive.
I'm
actually.
impressed.
But yeah, what kind of things were you interested in growing up?
Growing up, a lot of swimming and water-based things. So I had a period of being a synchronized swimmer. I did diving, life-saving. Actually won the Devon Championships one year for life-saving.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very
Just
cool.
pop back in there.
Right?
How many lives have you saved?
I don't really know. Not from
Countless.
swimming.
She lost track. There's been
So
that
many.
many.
So many. Yeah, not from like my life-saving skills in the water or anything like that, no, but I don't know, might be some others through other work that I've perhaps
Oh,
done.
yes, we'll get into that for sure.
And did you swim with school, or how did all these
It
activities
was a
come
club
together?
that I did just
Okay.
outside of school. I was training quite a lot. I was never ever going to be like good enough to be an Olympic athlete or anything like that, but I did used to train kind of 5 times a week probably for that.
Wow.
And then I became a teenager and then all out of the window. Yeah. But I still have a great love of the water, which is nice, and especially great living here as well because we are surrounded by it, aren't we? So
Ocean's
it's really
Playground.
lovely.
So you were a detective.
I was.
How did that kind of come to be growing up? Was that something that you knew about? Did you have anyone in your family that was part of the force, or?
No, not really. My godfather, he was like military police. So when he was in the Navy, like years and years and years ago, he was a police officer. But that was before I knew him, so it kind of didn't really have that much of an impact at the time, I don't think. I kind of feel a bit like I fell into policing. And I think probably if you spoke to any of my school teachers, that they would just be like, what? Like,
Thought you'd be on the other side of that.
Really? Yeah. Yes.
Verity.
And so I had moved up to Scotland and randomly met a lady at a yoga class, and she was like, oh, I'm a police officer, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, oh, I need a sensible job, have to fit into the societal boxes. And I was like, oh, I need to have a sensible job with a salary and a pension and all of the rest of it and promotion prospects. And so I thought, okay, I'll be a police officer. And so then I applied and then became a cop and worked up in Scotland for 3.5 years, and then moved down to Hampshire Police, and then did a couple of years in various different departments in there, and then became a detective in 2011. And then I suppose technically I still am one, just on a sabbatical at the moment.
Oh,
Run for the hills.
I got
Are we being investigated?
I'm
Set
good.
up.
I'm clean.
Wow, that's really cool. So you did it for how many years total? I mean, I guess
Policing, it'd be 15 years this
15
year.
years.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, obviously.
Oh, thanks. You're welcome.
I always say that. I'm curious if we could backtrack just for a second. What did you have in mind coming out of high school, like heading into post-secondary? Obviously, you had met someone in a yoga class, and that's what kind of led you on this path. But what was it before then?
Yeah, I didn't really ever have that much of an idea, a clear path of what I wanted to do. I think a lot of other people that I was at school with, they knew what they wanted to be. They wanted to be like a vet or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. And I was just kind of bumbling through, and I'm not really sure that academia, perhaps in hindsight, was really the right kind of thing for me. I was much more interested in playing with my friends and probably not listening and learning about the peasants' revolt. But now I'm much more interested in learning about stuff now. And it's funny, I said the other day that I think that almost you should get to go to school when you're in your 30s, when you kind of figure it out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, and just get to play when you're in your teens. So yeah, I didn't really have a clear idea of what I sort of wanted to do. It was very much like you'll go to school, you'll go to college, you'll go to university, you'll get a degree, and then you'll get a job after that.
Yeah. Then it's figured out.
And then it's figured out, yeah. It's like, I think it's that Baz Luhrmann song, isn't it? Sunscreen. You familiar with that one?
They
like
played that at our graduation.
Ah, did they? Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
How does
the
it
most
go?
interesting
Guess
people.
it didn't sink in.
How does it
No
go?
pun intended. What? It's the song where it's spoken word.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe it was at mine too.
And he's like, and all the people who did this, they won't.
Yeah,
It's like the most interesting people still don't know what they want to do when
Yeah.
they're in their like 50s or 60s or something like that. So, yeah, no, I never really had a clue. I did public relations at university, so a bit of PR, and then just never went into that. And funnily enough, now I'm getting to use my degree, which is really, really nice actually. And so, yeah, so I just kind of came out of university, just got a job
Where did you go to university?
down in Plymouth, a place called Margins.
Margin.
Yeah, College of St Mark and St John. Give them a little shout out.
Yeah, shout out.
Shout out.
Yeah, we love those. Woo-woo.
And then
Keep those up.
keep those up. We can do loads of those. Yeah, and then just ended up getting a job in a mobile phone shop, and then that kind of progressed onto recruitment, which I was not good at recruitment. I thought it'd be very much like, oh, this is really nice. You help people get jobs. Isn't that a lovely thing to do? But it's kind of not so much like
A lot
that.
more
People,
hustle involved.
right? People are a commodity. It doesn't matter about getting
You
them
gotta
into the
like
right
rifle
job. It's-
through them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
definitely.
know a few people who are involved in that, and it's tough. It's
Yeah.
hard on them.
Yeah, it wasn't what I imagined. And then ended up moving up to Scotland and became a police officer. Yeah, so it kind of, I just fell upon it really.
And do you remember that yoga class?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Do you remember sitting there?
It was in a downward dog.
No, what's the other one? Shavasana.
Oh,
Just chilling there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
good work, boys.
if I went to yoga tonight, I would have known that.
Heyo.
Like I ever go.
Yeah. No, you're going. You're getting there.
Someday, well,
That's awesome. No, the only reason I'm curious is like that's a massive defining moment, right? Like someone kind of sparks. Well, have you ever thought of this? And I was just hoping you could walk us through that a bit more.
Yeah, it was literally as simple as that. I think we were just chatting perhaps between the down dog and the Shavasana.
There you go.
Yeah. And
Namaste.
oh, namaste. Yeah, just having a bit of a chat, and she just, what do you do type thing, and she just said that she was a police officer, and I guess I'd been up in Scotland for maybe about 6 months or something by that point, and it was kind of like I was working at a newspaper, sort of doing some of the sales stuff and kind of the inputting and the sports bits and bobs, and it wasn't my vocation, it wasn't what I was going to do forever, and I just kind of thought, well, I need to get a proper job, and she said that, and I was like, okay, I'll just go and do that then. And
I love that.
trundled off and did it.
I would imagine most police officers that I know had that, like that was their first Halloween costume. They had that in mind, all the way throughout school. And
Yeah.
there was no second thought after, high school was kind of right into the force. So
Yeah.
I think it's amazing that you were able to pick it up in the downward dog or shavasana or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And then
Why not?
next day, did you start?
Oh,
Like
well,
not start on the force. I know.
Yeah, I was out
know.
with my baton straight off.
Got my badge.
Yeah.
Freeze. No, they don't carry guns.
No.
Oh, true.
No.
Should have known that.
Why would you? No, it took nearly a year to actually go through the application process. So it was all fill in the paperwork, then have an interview, and then have the fitness and the medical and the home interview and all of the rest of it, and the final interviews. And then, yes, it was nearly a year to actually get in to police college.
Just to get in, and then how long is the
And
college?
then 4 months of everyday training, so learning in a classroom environment. And actually that was probably when I started to learn better because I was interested in that. So I was actually pretty good at studying for my exams and stuff when I was there.
How old were you then?
24.
Okay, so that kind of goes back to if you were able to do it later in life, university, it's a little bit easier.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that's kind of cool because you mentioned you had your path was kind of set out for you just by societal norms.
Yeah.
Go to school, go to university, get married, whatever, get a job, all that good stuff.
Wait, why the get married part? We haven't even got there yet.
Yeah, well, it's just like
that's what people do, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true.
It's like part of the package.
It is part of the package. You're
It's
right.
the societal box.
So I feel like for those who it doesn't feel particularly right, you end up kind of just roaming a bit, and where you roamed, you found something that you were really interested in.
Yeah.
In officering. Policing. I find that interesting because it took me like a decade of not roaming, but trying to force a situation.
Right.
And it took me to, take a step back and get away from that and try something new. Mm-hmm. Then I was able to go down the path where I could find meaning.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It's nice when you have that realization of something, isn't it? That it's like, oh, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I can actually do something different. But we've so conditioned, like in that societal box, to either force ourselves to do something that we've either trained in or that the family think that we should do or whatever it is, or that those pressures that we put on ourselves or whatever, just to, this is what you got to do. But actually, you don't got to do that. You can do anything you want. Like you really totally can. You just have to have a little bit of belief and a little bit of bravery to just actually just do it, because you can. We all can. It's not like these magical people. We've got the same 24 hours that Beyonce has, so,
Just have to
shout out Beehive or Bayhive. Beehive.
Put in the work and believe.
Bayhive.
The belief is so important. If you believe that you can do something,
What's
I mean, obviously, sometimes shit happens.
Yeah.
That's just life.
Yeah.
But the universe, I mean, one of the things, we were watching a podcast the other day, a Joe Rogan podcast, the guy was on.
Shout out Rogan.
Shout out Rogan. His name was Naval. I can't remember his last name. He said, the universe is neutral. Reality is neutral. It only reflects back what you give it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So really,
You
it's
really
just your
spoke to us.
perception. It's just your attitude.
100%.
And,
Massively.
yeah.
I think the sooner you realize that you can do anything you truly want to do, like the quicker you get there, the happier you will ultimately be. And I mean, again, we've always kind of prefaced happiness with you can define it yourself, but I think it's very important to figure that out early on.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, you found it out a different way, perhaps after a decade. And I'm looking at you, Mark, and for you, I mean, Verity, it was in a yoga class where it was like, okay, that realization, I can do this. What is stopping me?
Well, though that realization actually came a little bit later. That was the whole joining up was more of a I need to fit into my societal box thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So the realization of actually you can do what you want to do is kind of.
I
only
thought
a
it was
couple
in
of
that
years
moment.
No, so that was like the first step on the career ladder, and I had a great time being a cop. It was, and obviously I have massively rosy-coloured spectacles about the whole thing, but it was brilliant. I've seen and done some amazing stuff. Right. But the whole realization of actually like you can be who you want to be and having that belief and just realizing, oh, you can do it. You really can. That was only maybe in the last kind of 3-4 years or so.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
We're doing all right then.
All right. Okay. So what led to that realization then? Because that's a good, 10 years on the force.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that I always knew that there was something else that I had to give. There was something else that I kind of knew that it wasn't kind of ticking all of the boxes being a police officer perhaps. And so I always kind of had half an eye out for something else that might be out there that I could do. And I've always had an interest in kind of alternative or complementary therapies. And I did like years ago before I even became a police officer, I had studied anatomy and physiology. So I could then go on to learn kind of Indian head massage. So I could have a skill that was something that I could always then just kind of fall back on. That sort of fell by the wayside. So I have the diploma in that, but didn't do much else after that. I've learned that I'm not actually very accountable unless I'm in person with somebody. Like I can't do internet learning. I have to turn up and be taught. That's one thing I've learned about myself. And that's fine. You just have to work with that, don't you? Mm-hmm. So you're asking when I kind of have almost my light bulb moment, I suppose, sort of 3 or 4 years ago.
Whoop, whoop.
I very much had like I was saying, been in that societal box and like, this is what you have to do. And I would look at other people and I would think, you know, so my husband went to like quite a good school, and some of his friends, there's quite a few entrepreneurial type amongst them. There's, you know, they've got their various own businesses like cheese or meat or like craft beer or something. So some kind of quite cool things. And I would look at them and I would think, oh,
Making
wow.
me hungry.
Oh, I know.
Can I have
Get
all
some
3 of those things right now?
Keep
I
talking.
know. Bacon, cheese, and beer, right? What else would you want? Oh, my goodness. And so I would look at them and I would think, oh, well, you know, they've got an amazing education. That's why they've been able to do it. Or like their parents have got loads of money. That's why they've been able to do it. And I just didn't think that I was the same as those sorts of people.
So you're always there. Something that they have that I don't is
Yeah.
the reason they could do it.
Yes. Yeah.
And a lot of people think that.
Yeah. And actually, it's not the case. Like, we can all do anything. And so what happened is one of his friends was in the military and then left that job and then went and opened a chalet in France.
French chalet.
French chalet. Damn, sorry. And so he went off to go and do that. And then I realised, oh, hang on a minute. People can do stuff. And so I thought, oh, if you want to do something else, Verity, then give it a try. And so when I was a kid, my mum has always said, oh, you should be a speech therapist. And of course, you never listen to your mum, do you? Whoever does. And
My mom listens to this, so yeah, of course I do.
Yeah,
oh yes.
Huh?
Hello, Ben's mum. And so anyway, I thought, okay, let's see about becoming a speech therapist. And so I looked into it, and it just would have taken me about 10 years to have done the training. It wouldn't have been like financially viable, and so that kind of just didn't end up working out. And then the hypnotherapy sort of fell into my lap. There was a chap that I'd been at college with about 20 years previously, and he had been in another crime fighting agency that we have in the United Kingdom, and he had then left that and become a hypnotherapist. And I thought, ooh, hypnotherapy, give that a try. And so I spoke to him a little bit about it, and then went and my godfather had sadly passed away, but he had left me a little bit of money, which was really kind of him. And so I used that to go towards the training, to go towards half of it, and then studied up in Bristol in the UK, in the West Country.
Shut up, Bristol Rovers.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Bristol Rovers? Oh, you're so good at the football.
FIFA, yo. Newcastle's my team, though.
Oh.
We got that oil money now. Anyways, I digress.
Unbelievable.
Every
finally paying
city
off.
you say in UK, I'm going to shout out their soccer team. I don't even
Yeah,
care.
I'm trying to think
I'm
of
like that in
some-
Ontario with hockey teams.
You're like the Pierre Maguire
Yeah.
of Pierre Maguire.
I associate everything in Canada with hockey, obviously.
True. So, yes, Bristol.
Bristol, yes. So the Clifton practice of hypnotherapy. Shout out. Whoop, whoop.
Shadow Clifton.
I am so excited. This is the part. I need to figure out what it is.
Oh, the hypnotherapy.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we are.
So I went up and studied up there for a year. Well, one weekend a month, I would go up there, and it was really good actually. I made some really nice friends. I learned a lot of stuff that was really great, and I also got to see some of my school friends that live in that city as well. So it worked out really well. Obviously, I had to give up my free time to be able to do it. So you do have to make a bit of an effort. You can't just be like, oh, I can do anything I want, and then like it falls in your lap. You have to be able to put in something of an effort yourself. And
You're going to make the sacrifices. It's just,
yeah,
are they going to be worth it?
exactly. Yeah, absolutely. There's a really great quote that is by Seneca that says, luck is when opportunity and preparation meet.
Mm.
And I'm like, yeah, that's a really good one, isn't it? Because, yeah, you can make your own luck, but if you don't try as well, then you're not necessarily going to be in the right place.
Right?
Yeah. So,
Like, you can, go to the casino and put $1,000 on red and win. And okay, there's your traditional luck.
yeah,
But if you want to go out and you got to be lucky to be good or good to be lucky, you do have to put in the work.
yeah,
And I think that goes to the universe rewarding you and attributing that to luck in some ways.
yeah.
A lot of hard work and timing,
Mhm.
right? That's that opportunity piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not necessarily luck. That's just waiting for the right opportunity too, right? Which is
And then getting
attributed to
yourself
many
in-
different
sorry.
things. No, I'm just thinking out loud. It's quite all right.
But just kind of getting yourself in that right place to be there when the opportunity does present itself. You're prepared for it, and then
Exactly.
you can take it
Yeah.
when it's there. You can't just sit on your butt and just expect something to like land in your lap. Yeah, you might be lucky in inverted commas and win the lottery, mightn't you? But actually, I mean, that in itself doesn't even really bring people happiness all of the time. But
Typically, it brings them the opposite,
Yeah,
which is
right.
I
kind of
always think
ironic.
of the bus driver.
Yeah.
Won millions and millions, and he like burned through it all.
Yeah.
His family was wanting it all, and he was super depressed. And 6 months later, he was driving the bus again.
Oh yeah.
Because he was super happy with
Yeah.
that, right?
Right.
That was his bit. Not to say there's anything wrong with driving the bus, but may not be $1 million venture.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you own the bus.
Good point.
Who knows? Ben digresses.
Yep. I'm done now. See you guys when it's over.
I thought you wanted to learn about hypnotherapy.
I've been trying. I've been sitting here patiently.
Oh, you've been so good. What would you like to know, Ben?
Everything.
Everything.
Yes.
Well, let's.
Don't interrupt. We almost had her.
We're almost there.
You're so close.
Almost at the good
No,
stuff.
I should tell everyone listening. I searched it today, and I have a little bit of a handle on it, but I'd rather hear it from the source and just kind of understand, now that I know how it originated with you, just what it means to you, and if you could explain it a little bit for us.
Yeah, sure. No worries. There are different types of hypnotherapy, but the one that
See,
I did...
didn't know that.
Right, yeah. So the one that I did is solution-focused hypnotherapy. So back in the kind of 80s and 90s, the therapists would consider themselves quite successful if they had people in floods of tears. They were on the couch just bringing back all these painful, terrible memories, and they left in a completely upset state. There's a couple of people in Sue Kimberg and Steve DeShazer who then developed this solution-focused therapy, which is more about, okay, well, this is where you are, where do you want to be, how are you going to get there, and let's move forward. And then that combined in with the hypnosis part of things becomes solution-focused hypnotherapy. So it's a C.S. Lewis quote. I'm going to give you another quote here. So you can't change the beginning, but you can start where you are and you can change the ending. And I think that sums up solution-focused hypnotherapy really nicely. So yeah, these things may have happened to us when we were younger. People may have influenced us, and maybe there's all these awful things. Now, if those issues come up, we address them, but we don't focus on them because it just relives all those painful memories. It makes the neural pathways stronger for those events that have happened to us. And actually, it can have quite a negative effect to be able to do that. Now, there are different types of therapy, and I wouldn't knock anything else, but this is just what I do, that it's solution-focused. And it's a really positive way of treating people. And what's really nice is people come in, and when I say that to them, like, you don't have to relive all these painful memories, they're like, oh, thank goodness. And you can just see the weight lifted off their shoulders because they come in thinking, oh man, I'm going to have to talk about that again. And actually then they realize that they don't have to. And so it's a really quite positive way of treating people, which is really nice. But I think it's probably the hypnosis bit that you're more intrigued about, isn't it, Ben?
Well, I'm just, all of it. I'm very curious.
So hypnosis, the word for hypnosis actually comes from the Greek word to sleep, but actually it's a bit of a misnomer. You're not actually asleep when you're in hypnosis. You're in a trance. It's an altered state of consciousness. And so if you put the little sticky pads on people's heads when they're in trance, and then you did it when they were sleeping, and then they were in the REM stage of their sleep, so the rapid eye movement, it's actually very similar what's happening with the brain waves and the patterns that's in there. And so it replicates that REM sleep, even though you're not actually asleep at the time. And so what we say is that there's things called your critical faculties. They get lowered during that process. So the critical faculties, for example, you're going to pay me $1,000 for this podcast, right? And both of you have gone, no. But you did think, you went, oh, God, did we say that to her? Did we? Right?
I was like, Mark.
Oh my God, who's been
Told you I'm tapped out.
But that's your critical faculties. It's the bit that kind of is looking out for what's going on. It's kind of keeping awareness on the things and keeping tabs and things, and also looking out for any danger that's out there. So
I really like the idea of REM sleep while you're awake, like that kind of
Yeah.
feeling, right? That's very interesting because my REM is definitely wild, if I recall correctly.
Oh, well, come in for a session then.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll be there.
Cool.
I'm very, very curious. Very, very curious. I
Yeah.
think it's very cool. I've never been. Have you ever been hypnotized?
I tried in grade 9 when
on the stage.
on the stage.
Right. Yes.
And it didn't work. And it was weird because that particular year of my grade 9 class, there was 4 of them. Only 2 people got hypnotized out of what would have been, I guess, roughly 100.
Oh yeah.
And typically, I mean, the last 2 years before that, it was at least 10 to 15.
Yeah.
And then throughout the show, some people would awake from their trance, so to speak. But yeah, I tried really hard, but I also have I
tried really hard.
But that's
job, fella.
But I have blockages in my mind where I'll stop myself internally. I remember when I was growing up, I played competitive tennis, and we spoke to a sports psychologist at one point, and she talked about clearing your mind and just not thinking about anything else and finding that peace when you go down to the court. And I was like, my mind will not allow me to do that. Like I'm in my head right now, and my conscience, my inner voice is saying, nah, we're not resting right now. We're just gonna talk. We're gonna chat. It's not happening.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I align with that?
Sounds pretty
inner
jolly
voice?
anyway.
Oh yeah, we get along well.
Yeah.
Like we're best friends. But how do I align that voice in my head for this type of thing? Because part of me thinks I don't have it in me to enter that trance.
Mm-hmm. Well, come and give it a go and see how you get on.
All right.
You've just got to be open to it.
You have to be open, right?
Yeah, right. So like, close your eyes just now and just.
Oh, yes.
Close them right now.
See you, fella.
Okay, right. I just want you to imagine your kitchen in your house.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine it? Can you see it right there?
Yeah.
Right. Then you can be hypnotized, because if you can imagine something, if you can visualize something, then you can open them now.
I feel like having you in my ear when that happens is like much more conducive to getting hypnotized.
You were going there, eh?
Yeah. I was almost
Going
there.
down.
This is my kitchen.
Right?
I love
Kitchen's
your
in the
kitchen.
kitchen.
Yeah. I'm still thinking about the bacon and the beer. So it took me right to your kitchen with those things. I'm curious. Now, I understand if there's some client privileges, there's probably quite a few, but could you walk us through an example of something that you would encounter?
As in what someone would come in for?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really quite a wide range of things that people will come in for. Those are the typical ones. So, like, people typically think of anti-smoking,
right,
weight loss,
yeah,
fears and phobias.
Both things were mentioned whenever I was speaking about this podcast at work today.
Oh, right, exactly. And so that's what people think as well. And it can help. It definitely can help with all of those things too. But it can also go on to help with, so like OCDs, insomnia. It can actually go with...
I am not OCD.
Can you hypnotize me to go to the gym on a regular basis?
If you want to make positive changes, I can help you with that.
Done.
You're going in tomorrow.
Sold.
Yeah.
You're going to the gym tomorrow.
I don't have OCD.
I have a membership to the place around the corner.
I'm very OCD.
But as I said the other night, the only thing that goes to that gym is my money.
Right.
Whoa. At least you know it.
True. Not in denial.
First step.
Oh my.
Yeah, so it can help with like things like that as well. Improve concentration, improve focus, nerves, confidence, like anxieties and depression. Like a lot of the things that people will suffer from.
Fears?
Fears, yeah.
Did you say that?
Fears and phobias.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just making sure. Fears, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I come in for.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
We can talk offline.
Hey. Hear that, Mark? I got my own session.
Whatever. I'll have one too.
Yes.
We'll come in together.
Sure.
Exactly. So I'm not going to back it up, but we're still over in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you
interview
hypnotize people?
I know what I'm doing.
Could you have a hypnotherapy podcast
Geppetto.
where you're hypnotizing people with episodes?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I suppose in theory you kind of could, because it would be as though somebody had like downloaded one of those tracks. You know, you can buy like the self-hypnosis track. So I suppose in theory you could maybe record something and play it and people would listen to it. It's no different really from that, but it's kind of good to have a personalized approach, because part of it as well, it's the talking at the first half of a session. It's the psychotherapy part of things. So actually that kind of gets people into the right part of their brain. Sorry, the correct part of their brain, not the right part of their brain, because it's the left prefrontal cortex that they're in. Gets them into that correct part.
That was great.
No, the moment has passed. I can't say what I was going to say.
Yes, and then to help them identify what it is that they want to achieve and how they're going to maybe begin to make those few little steps towards it. And then the hypnosis part of it then kind of gets them into the problem-solving part of their mind. So the conscious and the amygdala, the health and safety officer, they trot off on a little holiday for a bit, for like half an hour or so. And then the brain can do its problem-solving. So it's better in person, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The health and safety officer.
That was
great.
Yeah, that was. They trot off. That's a cute imagery.
I could before I said I hated lectures. I think I'd enjoy a lecture from you.
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, thanks.
You can hold the room. I'll tell you right now.
It's something just sparked. You had said all the little things So is it normally little steps that folks have to make to achieve their big goal of this, or do you find that it's oftentimes massive changes that they need to?
Yeah, again, people are all totally different.
Totally different.
And,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and so some people are just amazing. They come in and they're like, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to get there. Boom, and they can be done in a couple of sessions. Other people, they're maybe not quite totally clear about what it is that they want. So it's just like gentle questioning and sort of a solution-focused approach to just try to like kind of tease it out of them and help them to make the decisions. You know, I do a tango with them. I'm never going to tell them what to do. And it's kind of like dancing, but I don't lead. I'm just stand behind them and give them a little gentle nudge on the shoulder to kind of help them out. Because no one likes to be told what to do, right?
Oftentimes you do the exact opposite of what you
Yeah.
Because everyone,
you know that.
Most people
My mom
know
knows that. Our parents know that.
It's true. I mean, most people know more often than not the steps they need to take, or they know they're not doing everything they could be doing.
Yeah.
So for someone to point out, it's like, yeah, I know. I'm just in denial right now. Get off my back.
Exactly.
Well, if they're heading in for hypnotherapy, wouldn't it suggest that they are aware that they need to take those steps, so they're at least thinking of those steps? They just need the proper guidance.
But you don't want to scare them off either.
Yeah. No, the fact that they're there means that they're kind of willing to make changes and that they want some help somewhere along the way to be able to kind of get there, because they just maybe just can't see the path in front of them as to how they want to get there. Yeah. And that's what we work together to kind of figure out.
And so do you practice out of a home studio, or do you have a studio office somewhere? Where does it take place?
Yeah, so back in the UK, there was this really beautiful old farmhouse actually that a lady had converted in. She had lots of different rooms and people did different therapies in different rooms. And so
sounds nothing like the UK.
Oh,
no?
It's very nice.
I've never been.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Sounds very like it, right?
Yeah, very like it. It's awesome.
It was really,
Perfect imagery.
really lovely place to work, actually. So in the daytime, I would be detectiving. I don't even think that's a word.
I was detectoring.
So yeah, I would do that in the daytime. And then like 2 nights a week, I would go to my clinic, I suppose you would call it, and practice 2 evenings a week out of there. So it wasn't, masses of hours, but I would, I'd leave home at like 6:30 in the morning and wouldn't get home till kind of like gone 10:30 at night. So it would be like quite a long sort of day to do the 2 things. But it was great to be able to kind of start practicing what I had learned. So yeah, so did that over there.
I'm wondering, as you mentioned, as a detective and a police officer, you do see the darker side of life sometimes and trauma. Have you ever been on the other side of hypnotherapy sessions yourself?
Oh, have I ever had any?
Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how
Walk
far
us
into
through
that
some of
was
those.
you practicing? When were you like, okay, I think I want to try this on myself?
Or did you have one before you started?
So I had one years and years and years ago when I was up in Scotland. And then after that one, then, there was a gap of like 10 years or so. And then I kind of got into hypnotherapy myself. And then we would practice on each other once we were trained.
Okay.
It's very interesting.
It really is.
We would not had anyone like you on the podcast before, so we very much thank you for coming on and sharing your
thank you
story.
for
We're
having
obviously
me.
not concluding. I'm just
No.
sharing a little bit of support here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's nice.
It's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
Having a great
It's so
time.
cool. It's so cool learning about different practices and what people do and how they've been able to kind of find their passion. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it does sound like it is your calling.
Yeah.
Maybe into present day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Present day calling, things can change.
Right.
Verity is on sabbatical after all.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Crime shoots up in London, then.
There's no guns.
No, thankfully.
So, what did bring you over here?
My husband's work.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's in the British Royal Navy and we got posted over here. So I've thought, I'll pack up my knapsack and go and have a little adventure as well. Thanks very much.
Awesome. And
Just a knapsack.
was that a tough decision to make, or were you like, no, let's just go for it?
Not tough.
Yeah.
No, not tough.
Have you been here before?
That's true love, Mark. Quickest decision she's ever made.
Over West Coast. Yeah, I'd never been over this side before. So yeah, I just kind of landed Canada Day last year in Ottawa.
Canada Day in Ottawa.
Yeah, just in time for the fireworks. I was
That
like,
is
oh, thank you so
incredible.
much.
That just
This
gave-
is so
For me?
welcoming. Really?
That just
Oh
gave
my
me the full
goodness.
body chills. So if you were to come over during that time, that would be
That's pretty
unbelievable.
cool.
That is awesome. And then someone was like, this
Especially
just
in Ottawa.
doesn't get any better than this.
It really doesn't. Not in Canada.
All downhill from here. No.
No. Only gets better. Come
Only
on.
gets better,
Every
yeah.
day.
So you landed in Ottawa. Okay.
Yeah.
And then stayed there for a bit or?
Just for a couple of days, just
for
to
a couple
sort of
days?
like the legalities and bits and bobs out. And then flew here, I think, on the 3rd of
Okay.
July. And then, yeah. Ta-da! Then I'm here in Nova Scotia and it's
So almost a
great.
year.
Almost a year, yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations.
almost an
You made it through
anniversary.
winter
I made
in Nova
it.
Scotia.
I know.
You're
A
still
little
here.
bit different than the UK,
Oh,
hey?
it's long.
Yeah.
It just ended actually the other day.
Yeah.
So
I like to say that I
It
brought
may
the weather
rear
back
its head
with me.
again. I know.
Oh, it's true, it might not.
Seriously.
yeah.
It's incredible. I
That's
can remember the first winter I spent, it was Christmas time in the UK, and I would call my sister, what do I need to pack? She was like, a rain jacket. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's all you needed. It was always like 4 or 5 degrees.
Right,
It,
and
it never,
raining.
yeah, it never got closer to 0. No snow, of course.
No. And that's what's good about here because at least the rain turns into snow and then you can do something with the snow. So you can snowshoe, you can ski, you can
Right.
ice skate or whatever. So you can do that, which is an advantage.
For a few hours.
I think
Before the rain comes, right?
we get all 4 seasons. Like, I would say.
Ish. What we did. It's
Ish.
starting. It's weird. The seasons are starting.
Spring's
to
a bit weird. Who knows about that one?
get further in the year.
We have a nice fall.
Yeah, our falls are beautiful. No question about that.
There you go.
You mentioned in the questionnaire, not many hypnotherapists in Nova Scotia. In
No.
fact,
I think there's a couple,
yeah,
but I don't think any of them do what I do.
yeah, you're the only solutions-based hypnotherapist.
I think
You hear
so.
that? There's only one place to go,
Yes.
and
Verity Vale.
Verity
There we
Vale.
go.
She's hypnotizing you now.
Look into my eyes.
No, you can't do it.
I'm getting
I'm not ready.
And did you have any problems opening up a studio here? Or just you got right into it?
Yeah, so I kind of got here and I will admit this and hold up my hand and maybe teach some other people a little lesson here is to just like don't always trust the internet because I had done some very poor research and kind of had got it into my head that actually I couldn't be self-employed over here on the visa that I had. And so I came over thinking that I couldn't do it.
Right.
Okay, that
So-
is true love.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like move to Canada, have an adventure or not. So it's like, yeah, I'm coming to Canada.
You sure you can?
Yeah. Oh,
Gotta double check a few things.
yeah. But no, it all worked out. It all turned out to be quite good. And actually, it was quite, after a good few months, I realised that I could be self-employed. I'd spoken to immigration. And I was like, oh, I can. Okay, cool. So I was like, brilliant. Let's set the business up then. And so it kind of just went from there, really. Once I got the okay from them, then I just kind of said, oh, I'm here. And it's going pretty well, actually.
And on that visa bit, I mean, I'm not as familiar. My sister moved over, so I'm a little bit more familiar with her time
Right.
spent with it. But what's it like here? Are you on a 1 year, 3 year?
I think,
Do you know?
I can't remember what it's written down on the visa itself. It might be 2
But
or 3
it's
years.
a
I
relatively seamless process, right?
If it's, I hope it's not one.
Oh yeah, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? It's like, oh God, quick, get your appointments in.
It's all right. We're booked in this week.
That's fine, it's all good. To be fair, for me, it was pretty straightforward because
Right.
obviously my husband's work
Right.
brought him out here, and then I kind
A
of
little bit easier,
I'm
probably,
part
with
of the
that.
package.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and Commonwealth countries, I mean, it's probably a bit easier to get from
Right.
one to the other.
yeah, it might well be, but yeah, it was fairly straightforward. That bit wasn't too tricky for me, so yeah, I'm grateful for that.
And you found this out early on that you could open up your own practice and kind of, you figured out you could be self-employed.
Yes, so I was kind of I've been here for a few months, and I was over in a clothes shop over in Dartmouth Crossing, and I was kind of like dragging my arms around. So I was like, I haven't got any money, I can't buy anything. And then I thought, I've got nowhere to wear anything anyway. So, this is really boring. Anyway, the manager in there, she kind of got talking to me, and she was just really lovely and really positive and really just like, oh my God, come and work for me. And I was like,
That's a great.
was it okay? That was a risk, wasn't it?
No, do that again. That was perfect.
Oh, no, I can't. There's too much pressure.
I was in that clothing store.
Are you hypnotized right now?
No, I could just hear a Canadian accent.
No, I know.
Do you though?
Anyway, so she basically said, come and work for me. So I was like, yeah, do you know what? I need to get out of the house. I need to go and see some people and that. So I started to work in a clothes shop. And anyway, there was a bit of a drama initially about my visa. And so that's when I ended up speaking to immigration about it. And it all got sorted out. It was absolutely fine in the end. But then I was like on the phone, I was like, can I be self-employed? And they're like, yeah, of course you can, sure. I was like, excellent. So then kind of it's probably maybe about November time, I sort of started thinking, okay, come on, let's get this show on the road. And then sort of got office space, got in contact with like the newspapers, just sort of say, hi, I'm here. And Chronicle Herald, whoop, whoop, little shout out.
Shout out Lever.
Yeah.
They put me on the front page of their business directory, which was obviously a really good thing
Yeah,
to
that's
happen.
huge.
Yeah, it was really, really, really good. And so I got like a load of people from that, and then I just kind of carried on with that, kind of getting in touch with local influencers and bloggers, and then also like the local paper up in Sackville. I've got an office up there as well in Lower Sackville. I've got the front page of their publication, and that's been really good, kind of getting people
Balling.
in through the doors. Yeah, and now it's just beginning to roll, and like people, it's word of mouth now, and people are like googling me, and it's coming up, and so it's pretty good. People are pretty receptive, so it's quite nice. Yeah,
You were the first hit when I searched Verity Vale.
yay!
What are the chances?
What are the chances of that?
Have you done any hiring, or is it just
It's just
Still
me.
you.
Yeah,
one woman show
for now.
for now?
The next Tony Robbins, watch this space.
That's great. And I'm curious because I've been holding this in for a while. I think it's about
Here
time.
we go.
It's not a big deal. When you said you were on a sabbatical,
Yeah,
do you plan to go back to detectiving?
detective. I don't know.
Okay.
Who knows?
How long? Is there a time limit? You can just be like, no, see you in whenever.
See ya.
Bye. Yeah, 3 years.
3
is
years.
how long I've been given. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Very cool. So where you said where's your studio?
Oh, so Lower Sackville is a
Yeah.
place, Sogo Body Therapy up there on Pine Hill Drive. So I work out of there
Okay.
with a couple of other girls. There's some massage therapists, sugarist, and a counsellor up there as well. And I've also got like a little consortium of us, which is quite nice. And then over in Dartmouth as well, there's a medical centre over there on Pleasant Street. So I work out of there 1 day a week as well. And that's a consortium of lots of different people in there, various different professions.
Okay, cool. I didn't think of that there'd be locations like that where it's a bunch of different specialized professions
Yeah,
all under one roof.
One little community.
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
that's pretty cool.
So as you mentioned, starting to take off. Word of mouth, the biggest thing.
I think the newspapers were probably the biggest thing. And I'm still getting people coming in now that are saying, oh yeah, I saw you in the paper. And that was kind of 6 months ago now for the Chronicle Herald. And then the other one was probably about 4 months ago. But it's still kind of, sometimes people will stumble across information and they'll keep it. And it'll just be when they need it, and that they'll just think, oh, hang on, yeah. Or maybe they weren't quite ready when they read the article, and then now they've got themselves into a good place where they want to be able to kind of make those changes and stuff. So it kind of sticks with people. So the papers have been really good.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that, definitely. And yeah, like a lot of people are saying Google now, and people are saying, oh, like such and such told me about you. And I'm like, okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you. So that's really nice.
Okay, very cool. And it a wide range of people.
Yeah. Really wide. Yeah. Like men, women, children, older people, all of the ages in between. Like,
I'm curious what
Everyone and anyone.
what the major differences would be from the UK and Canada.
in terms of the type of people. that
Yeah, or
come?
maybe the scenarios or the solutions.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's if
Who's
it's
wondering,
just,
me or you?
Well, no. Now that you've said that, it's like, are there common themes? And it's
That's
just
actually what
humanistic,
I was trying to say.
where it would be, you could apply this worldwide, or are you noticing that there are different things that you have to adjust?
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff comes kind of from anxieties and depressions, and that can kind of manifest itself out into lots of different things. It can come out as a fear or a phobia or as an OCD, or like people, they eat because they're anxious or they're depressed, or they smoke because they're anxious or depressed. So it could be lots of different things that it kind of stems from one thing, but it will come out in lots of different ways. So you can people often will come in for one thing and then they'll never mention it again, and then they'll go out having something else completely differently sort of sorted out for them, but they're convinced that that's what they kind of came in with. So it's interesting to sort of see that people will kind of change what they've come in for as they kind of go along. But that's because it all kind of stems from those same very primitive emotions that we have, like the anger, anxiety, and depression. And they will come out because they'll just mess with our chemical releases that we've got in our bodies and in our mind. And when all that homeostasis is upset and we've either got no chemicals being produced and we're down at the sad, miserable end, or we've got too many being produced, which is fine for a crocodile attack, but it's not so great for your everyday anxiety things. So, all the cortisols and the adrenalines, and we don't really want that in everyday life. It's fine for a crocodile attack, but not so much for kind of running around every day dealing with like the drivers or the bank manager or whoever's,
No, that would get you in trouble if you treated that like a crocodile attack.
Right.
Maybe. Depends on what end you are.
It's really got me thinking. I'm curious what I would go in for and if it would stay true to what I went in for.
Can you just go in blank slate and be like, see what's there?
Well, then
Yeah.
you're not really. Oh,
Well, you can come in and just
Yeah.
have like
Okay.
a hypnotherapy session. It's just really relaxing and it's just really lovely.
so you don't
Calm state.
necessarily need a solution.
No, I mean, mostly people will come
Right.
in because they'll want something like out of it.
Resolved.
They've got, they want to make a change in their life in some reason. But you can just come in, even if there's nothing that you particularly want to work on. You just want to come in for, I call it a mind massage. So it's just like come in, chill out, and just be like, oh.
Love it.
Wait, what do you like?
Not that I am problemless, but
No, you're perfect,
thanks.
That's true love there. That is,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd follow you anywhere. We're going on an adventure. Where are we going?
Get in the car.
So we're kind of in present day now, or we have been. We've been in present day. What any
Great journey so
immediate
far.
future plans? Anything like that? You've got any exciting stuff coming up for you?
Have I got any exciting stuff coming up in terms of business wise?
Anything?
Life. Ooh.
Life
so
in
many
general.
things. Well, I'll let you in on my big secret. It's not really much of a secret because I tell everybody. But I really want to go to space. So we can like give a shout out to all the space people.
Shout out
right?
to astronauts
Like
shout
Elon
out
Musk
and aliens and
Richard
everyone.
Branson. Hello.
Elon's coming on soon, actually.
Oh yeah, excellent.
Couple.
Cool.
Yeah, he's gonna smoke a blunt again.
Joe Rogan. He smoked a
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
I
big
love
Joe
that
Rogan.
because that's not far off passenger or
What is
Yeah,
it?
next
30,000.
civilian space travel.
Oh, a lot more than that. It's like 30,000 a day, I think.
Looks like
Oh.
we're gonna have to open a few
Wait,
more hypnotherapy
I think I could be getting that
spots.
wrong. Is it 30,000 maybe even just to go to
I think-
not to space, but to
Yeah, if you only have 30,000, they're not bringing you back. They're just leaving you.
Yeah. pew.
you're a test dummy? No, I read somewhere 30,000. I don't know why.
I think it's like 30,000 a day.
A day. Okay, maybe.
So I
that's
think like a month is £1 million. But I think that would be too long. I wouldn't really want to go for a month. Maybe just like a week would be
Week.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah, just a
Even
little
just a couple of
vacay.
days. Yeah, just like a little weekend mini break.
Do you
or
think you would
something.
pass all the fitness
I
tests?
can make sure I did.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that. That was cool. Did you heard that? Yeah, that was very assured.
Yeah.
Very
I really
cool.
want to go. So that's the ultimate dream.
Oh, I'd make sure I would.
Yeah.
What's that? It's the phenomenon or whatever. The feeling you have when the astronauts see Earth
Oh, that's what I want to see.
from space. Everything.
Oh, talk
You've
about body
ever
shivers.
known.
Whew,
I know, right?
I'm there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it the other night. Like, you think the
Those are called
nerve,
goosebumps.
the nerve of humankind to look up into the sky and see that moon and be like, let's figure out how they get there.
Yeah.
Let's shoot something
the
up.
nerve.
Like,
The gall.
come on.
I think it was JFK's fault, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah, we can thank the arms race for
yeah,
that.
Yeah. Can thank him
Ego
for a
got us
bit.
to space.
Yeah. Ego plays a big part.
Yeah, it did. Now we have no better ways to
I just
find-
meant in everything in life.
Yeah. So you want to go to space,
I'd really like to go to space.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
and what would
Just you,
would you take?
Oh,
hubby?
if you wanted to go, I suppose. Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that.
True love.
Yeah, I was just thinking about myself there. Yeah, it's quite expensive, isn't it? So,
Right? No,
Yeah, $1 million
I
quid.
really afford to take you.
Wow.
yeah.
How long have you thought about that?
Probably maybe the last 6 months. So I went to the Kennedy Space Center before Christmas, and I was like,
I am
"Oh
loving
my
that.
goodness me!
Yeah.
Yes, I really want to go. Like those rockets are incredible.
Mm.
It's so good. I was just like
So
blown
good.
away.
the best rockets.
I was blown away. I was just like, wow, I really want to go to space.
And now it's
Awesome.
privatized. We've got rockets that can land coming out of space. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's possible.
We'll be
Final
sharing
frontier.
a meal on Mars in 10 years.
Can't wait. It's going to be like a cube.
Okay, so we know you want to go to space, and
Yes.
that's a big thing for us. What else do you have going
Yeah.
on?
On a more practical level, perhaps.
No, hey, you got it.
Space is pretty practical these days.
Shoot for the stars.
There you go.
Hey.
That's a play on. Anyway.
Oh, did really?
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, we were so lost.
I've been
before
doing that a lot lately.
I love when people explain their jokes.
Whatever, man.
Um,
I know what I'm doing
you do.
with explaining the jokes. Like, I know I'm pissing people off. That's half the joke
That's part
for
of the
me.
joke, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Then
As long as I'm happy. Keep going. Sorry.
she's trying to.
Okay. You interrupted way more than I did tonight.
Yeah, so like maybe on a more practical level, or maybe just achievable in the very sort of like near future. I've actually got a retreat today planned for pregnant ladies, so that's in July. So if anybody's interested in that, then give me a little shout out for that.
Shout
think
out
I'm
pregnant
free.
ladies.
Shout out pregnant
Yeah.
ladies.
All right.
Yeah, so
Shout out pregnant lady.
yeah, collaborating with a couple of other girls on that. So Common Hut of Common Hut Yoga, and then Stephanie Brown from the Choice Health Clinic.
Shout out all those things.
Shout out all those things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really
You've really
cool.
acclimated
Where's
yourself
the-
into the community well then.
Yeah.
If you've got this kind of circle, enough so that you have a retreat plan. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to.
Not even a
to
year
hosting
old
that.
here.
I know. Yeah.
You're already planning retreats for others to
Making moves.
embark on.
Where's it going to
I haven't done anything in my time
St
here.
Margaret's Bay, the Shambhala
be?
Centre.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that should be really lovely. We're looking forward to being able to host that. In terms of my business, I kind of want to develop like the online stuff, so to be able to kind of have a greater reach, to be able to sort of get out to more people, and for them to, because there is only so much of me. I can only see so many people. But actually, if you kind of develop like an online thing, then you can reach more people. So to be able to kind of do that, maybe like up the public speaking. It's so funny. A year ago, if I'd have said, oh, I'll just go and stand in front of people and go give a talk at the library or at the expo. There's a health and wellness expo at the weekend. I gave a talk at that. And in February, March, up in Cape Breton, they had a conference that they put on, awesome. So the Atlantic Women Entrepreneurs Summit, and I was asked to speak at that as a newcomer into business, which was really pretty cool.
Nice.
And a year ago I would have been like, no way, I'm not speaking in front of people, but like I've kind of just gone, yeah, no, I'm going to do it, I'm going to grow that. And so I have, and actually I really enjoy it, and it's really nice to kind of get that engagement with people and to be able to kind of help just like share the knowledge that I've got and to share the information, just to be able to kind of give people a little bit of a boost or some hints and tips. And even if they only take one thing away from a talk that I've given them, then that's something positive, right? If you can just make a little bit of a difference for somebody, then that's really, really good. And so I kind of really like doing that. So maybe to grow that would be a bit of a dream as well, would be nice. But yeah.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Different perspective too, right? Like it's kind of a different way of looking at how you. Well, what I'm trying to say is you're explaining it. And,
Could try.
How was Cape Breton?
Oh, it's nice, isn't it? It's lovely. Yeah, it's very beautiful.
It is beautiful. Now, obviously, we're not pregnant ladies. Is there going to be retreats that we can go on eventually?
Would you like to come on one?
Yeah.
Then yes.
I went on a
We will
retreat
make
the other
one.
week to
Yeah.
Pictou Island, and it was...
You loved your time.
Shout out Halifax Social Network and A for Adventure. And it was really cool. It was kind of like a mindfulness retreat, unwind and unplug.
Ooh.
And so it was really cool. We were talking about,
Ironically, that you were there
different
to plug in.
perspectives. Yeah, I know we were supposed to do a live podcast, but we ran out of time because we had to leave early from the island because it was getting
Weather.
stormy on Sunday. Yeah, getting a couple people were getting seasick on the way back.
Yikes!
It's a bit choppier than I thought it'd be. I love
get
it.
very seasick.
I was having a great time on the back deck surfing.
That
Anyways,
makes
yeah,
you sick.
we'd love to come to. I mean,
Right.
I guess I only speak for myself. I'm sure Ben would too.
Then definitely
need
it's
a
in the
retreat.
melting pot. So yeah, thanks for the idea, the advice.
Melting pot.
Okay, cool.
I'm there.
Before we get out of here, did we cover everything? Anything else going on that you're excited about?
The only other thing is really just, again, trying to kind of grow the business as well, is that I have done a couple of sessions where I've gone into local businesses and like over lunchtime, And so to then give them a talk while they eat their lunch and then do a guided relaxation session with them afterwards. And it's been really well received. And so I'm kind of looking into kind of get into that corporate world, like workplace well-being. Because actually sometimes companies will do things where people, they might have like yoga at their workplace or whatever it is, but not everybody's entirely comfortable with doing that. Getting into your yoga pants in front of like some of your colleagues can be a little bit like awkward.
Yeah.
And so actually the guided relaxation is really nice because people can just stay in their chairs or they can lay down on the floor, and it's something that everybody can get involved in as long as they're kind of open to it and that they're willing to give it a go. And so it's a nice thing that people can do for their workplace. It's good to, you know, give people a little bit of a break, make them feel a bit valued as well, which is really nice because often people don't necessarily realise that they are kind of valued by their employers. And so that's a nice thing for them to be able to have. It also gets them kind of back into like being more productive. It kind of empties out that stress bucket a little bit, gets them into a good place. And so
Shot of positivity.
Right, exactly.
Because I read somewhere how much productivity dips after lunchtime.
Right.
It's
Go into that.
well, I mean, I can't give you the actual numbers.
It's
And
okay.
I was reading about it, and then I was like, well, that's interesting. I don't really have my total perspective on that because this was last year when I was working in office. So I went in and I asked.
Is this related to an office job, like a
Office
typical
job,
9 to
yeah.
5?
So I went in and people were like, yeah, I get almost all my work done in the morning, and then the afternoon, and I'm just kind of
10 to 12.
watching the clock.
Yeah. 10 to 12, I crush things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your time.
Yeah. Yeah. But then like 1 to 3, it's fighting to stay awake.
Oh, it's like that afternoon slump, isn't it?
So to get that recharge at lunchtime,
Coffee.
I mean, not only would be, awesome for the employees, but I imagine the employers would want to hop on that too.
Yeah, definitely. There was a study, and I can't remember if I can. I think it might be in my bag. I can probably quote it if you want me to do that. But it's like the workplace productivity that's increased by people doing mindfulness and meditation is just vast. So, and I think a lot of employers are beginning to get on board with it, and it's definitely something that I kind of want to grow. So, anybody want me to come in for lunch, then I'll happily do so.
Which leads me to my next question. How can people find more about you, and how could people perhaps experience hypnotherapy? Is there a way to best reach you?
Yep. So
whether it's your social media pages or even these lunchtime ideas.
Yeah. So my website is Verity Vale Hypnotherapy. Instagram is Hypnoverity.
There we go.
Love it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Facebook is again Verity Vale Hypnotherapy. Yeah.
Anything else you can think of before we get out of here?
No, this was a lot of fun. Good to be back.
I had a lot
Thank
of
you.
fun. Thank you.
You're the reason it was fun. Regardless if we're in a new studio with the upgraded equipment, we're so fortunate to have you take part in all this with us. So that was
Thank
what
you.
was
Yeah, it was
most cool about it.
awesome to be here. You guys are such fun, and I love your new little studio and your like sparkly lights that you've got on your
Right?
in your
Oh, yeah.
equipment. It's very cool.
Those pads make sounds.
Oh yeah.
I didn't hook
Don't.
up with. I see. You won't be able to hear, or maybe
Don't.
get up to the garage band someday. But yeah, we really appreciate you coming in and taking the time to talk about what you've been doing and what the future holds for you. I think hypnotherapy can be a really important thing in people's lives because it's taking that step away from that rat race, essentially, that we're all kind of in, and helping yourself
Yeah.
find that peace, that inner peace that I think we're all kind of searching for.
Well said.
You've got to help yourself before you can help anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say on the airplanes when the gas, God, it would be awful if it was the gas. When the oxygen things come
the
down,
oxygen.
put yours on first
That's
before you
true.
put anyone else. And it's the same in life. You've got to keep your own tank topped up. So people think, oh, I can't do that, it's too selfish. But actually, you really do need to give yourself a little bit of kind of self-care and to top your own tank up. And then you can help other people then, can't you?
You're that much more better to help other people. Yeah, absolutely.
I think we can wrap it up there.
Yeah. Once again, thanks a lot, Verity.
Yes, thank you for being our guinea pig in the new studio.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've had
Guest
a great
number
time.
one. Well, hey,
Guest number
you're coming
one.
back again, hopefully, for another
Definitely.
episode.
Yeah, sure.
We'll
I'd be
give you-
delighted to.
You
Yeah.
can recap how we did in our hypnotherapy sessions.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun, wouldn't it?
That would be a lot of fun.
Perfect. All right, for Brand New View, I'm Mark Woodrow.
And I am Ben Brammer.
See you next week, folks.
Cheers.
With the same old blues. I was the same old me. With the same old blues. I was the same old me.